Okay, I'm gonna say something that sounds completely ridiculous coming from me. Some days, retirement is harder than having a job was. I know, I know how that sounds. By the way, I'm Jason. I retired at 39. That was 10 years ago. Now I make YouTube videos about it. And look, I have no regrets. But I have to tell you, it hasn't always been easy. Not even a little. So if you're dreaming about retirement or you're already in it and feeling stuff that you didn't expect, stick with me. Because honestly, I don't think you're gonna hear this anywhere else. At least not like this. I'm sure you know what I mean. Most retirement content, it's the same thing on a loop. The 4% rule, travel, freedom, all that. And yeah, that stuff's real. But nobody talks about what it actually feels like to wake up on a Tuesday with literally nowhere to go and just sit there. Feeling that kind of hollowness, that's the part that I want to talk about today. So the first thing that blindsided me, and I mean genuinely caught me off guard, was losing the structure. See, work gives you a shape to your day, even the stuff that you hate. The pointless meetings, the emails, the commute. I mean, you complained about all that, right? But it gave you something to push against, a reason to get up. And when that's just gone, it's disorienting in a way that I can't fully explain. You just have to experience it. You know what I mean? My wife and I, we had no real routine for a while after we retired. And on paper, that sounds amazing. Total freedom. Do whatever, whenever. And it is great, mostly. But here's the thing that nobody tells you. Too much freedom doesn't feel like freedom at first. It feels kind of like drifting, like you're just floating with nothing to grab onto. And honestly, 10 years in, we're still building the routine, still tweaking it, and we're the people who chose this intentionally. And I thought that I'd figure it out in like a few months. Nope, still going. Anyway, here's where it gets a little bit deeper. And this is the stuff that I think really matters. See, work isn't just money. For most people, it's identity. And the answer to, so what do you do? And when that answer is gone, when you say, I'm retired, and people just kind of move on, something shifts inside of you. I mean, you feel it, even if you can't put a name on it right away, Now, I've talked to a lot of retirees over the years, and the ones who are struggling, it's almost never about money. The thing is that they don't know who they are without the job. The title, the role, the feeling of being the person who knows things and makes decisions, that stuff goes away almost overnight. And the people who built their whole sense of worth around being needed, that loss hits hard. I mean, sure, some people, they can shrug it off. Others, well, they kind of spiral for a while. Most land somewhere in the middle. But here's the deal. Retirement can expose stuff that work was quietly covering up. Anxiety, loneliness, a restlessness that you didn't know was there. When you're slammed at work, you don't have the time to focus on that stuff. On the other hand, retirement gives you all the time in the world. And sometimes, I mean, seriously, that is deeply uncomfortable. My wife and I, we actually laugh about this. The days start blending. Monday feels like Saturday, Wednesday feels like Sunday. And at first, it's kind of funny. But let me tell you, after a while, it's a little bit unsettling. I mean, you kind of lose your grip on time in this weird way that's hard to describe, if that makes sense. Oh, and something else? The leisure thing. Look, I love having free time, but the endless leisure, it gets old faster than you think it will. The first few months, they're like a vacation. Then something starts to feel off and you can't quite figure out what it is. And from experience, I can tell you, it's purpose, it's progress, it's having something to actually push yourself toward. I'm telling you, that doesn't just switch off the day that you retire. We're not built that way. And I hear people say, oh, I'll golf, I'll travel, I'll hang out with the grandkids. And sure, all that matters. But it's not the same as working towards something. And sure, golf is great, but golf doesn't give you the same feeling of solving a real problem or finishing something hard and having someone tell you that your work actually made a real difference. You see what I'm saying? Leisure doesn't replace that. You have to go find it again intentionally. And a lot of people don't realize that until they're already deep in it, wondering why they feel so empty. One more thing, and this one catches a lot of people off guard. Your social circle shrinks fast. See, most work friendships, they're proximity friendships. You were close because you were in the same building every day. And when that's gone, those relationships quietly fade. Not all at once, but slowly over time. And before you know it, you can go a surprisingly long time without a real conversation that isn't with your spouse or your family. That's not an exaggeration. We've lived that ourselves. So anyway, I want to be clear. I'm not saying any of this to scare you away from retiring. Again, I have zero regrets. I'd make the same call again 100 times over. But I'd go in with better expectations, a clearer picture of what I was actually walking into. Listen, the fantasy of retirement is total freedom and no stress. The reality is that you have to build a whole new life, intentionally, carefully, over time. And that takes real work, different from your job, but still real work. And here's the honest truth that I've seen play out. Financial freedom doesn't automatically create happiness. I've known people who retired with way more than enough money and were absolutely miserable because, money was never really what they needed. They needed purpose, forward motion, something that felt like it mattered. That's why some retirees go back to work, not because they have to financially, but because they need to feel useful. And there's no shame in that. Honestly, it's a pretty honest response to something real. Now, I'll share something personal with you. That's part of why I make these videos. It's not for the money, believe me, but because I find actual meaning in it. Getting to think through real ideas, have honest conversations, maybe help someone make a better call with their life. To me, that feels like contribution. And contribution feels like purpose. That's what retirement quietly took from me and what I had to go consciously rebuild. Here's the bottom line, my friend. At the end of the day, retirement, it's a psychological transition just as much as it is a financial one, maybe even more. The people who prepared financially but never thought about the identity shift, those are the ones who end up lost. The people who thrived didn't just escape a job. They built something worth waking up for on the other side. If you're getting close to retirement or you're already in it and nodding along to all this, the question to ask yourself isn't just, do I have enough money? It's, do I know who I am without the job? Do I have the structure that I actually chose? And do I have something that gives me a reason to push? That's what actually carries you, right? After having said all that, I still think early retirement is the right move for most people. These challenges are real, but they're manageable. What's not as manageable is working until you're 65 when you didn't have to. There are costs to that decision, financial, health, emotional, that most people never see coming. So I put together a whole video on that. It shows why retiring sooner actually leads to a happier, more fulfilling life. And the case is stronger than most people think. I'll leave a link down below, so go watch it next. And remember, retirement, it isn't just a math problem. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'll see you in the next one.